There are moments in life when the ordinary rhythm of our days suddenly feels interrupted by a divine whisper, a gentle yet powerful message that seems to come straight from heaven. And today's message carries with it an extraordinary promise, a promise that by tomorrow, before 7:30 p.m., something huge is going to unfold in your life. Something so unexpected and so life-altering that it will not only bless you, but also serve as undeniable proof that God has been walking alongside you all along, preparing, planning, and orchestrating events that you could never have arranged by yourself, because His timing is always perfect and His will is always directed toward your highest good, even when you cannot see it. When God says something huge is coming, He is not speaking in vague or empty words, for His promises are not like the fleeting promises of people who might forget or fail to deliver, but His promises are anchored in His eternal power, His sovereign authority, and His unwavering love for you, which means that the shift He has planned for your life by tomorrow evening is already set in motion, and every obstacle that has been blocking your path is already being dismantled by His angels, and every door that has remained closed is now rattling under the weight of His command, and every setback that tried to define you is being rewritten into a testimony of victory that will astonish not only you, but also those who doubted you, those who questioned your faith, and those who thought you would never rise again. Imagine for a moment how long you have been waiting, praying, believing, even when the answer seemed delayed, even when the night stretched on with no sign of dawn, even when the people around you told you to give up. And yet here you are, still holding on to faith, still whispering prayers, still keeping your eyes lifted to the heavens. And now God is saying that by tomorrow before 7:30 p.m., that faith which you have guarded like a flame in the storm will finally meet its reward, because He is not a God who ignores persistence, nor a God who overlooks pain, but He is the God who sees every tear, hears every plea, and treasures every ounce of trust you have placed in Him. And now He is turning all of that into a divine appointment with breakthrough. This something huge that is about to take place could manifest in countless ways, for God's methods are limitless, and He knows precisely where you need His touch most urgently. So for one person, it may appear as an unexpected financial blessing, money that comes from a source you could not have predicted, wiping away debts and bringing relief to long-held burdens. While for another, it may come as healing in the body, a sudden restoration that doctors cannot explain, a renewal of strength and vitality that allows you to do what once felt impossible. And for someone else, it might be the arrival of good news about a job, a relationship, or a dream that seemed dead but is about to be resurrected with power. And for yet another, it may be the removal of a hidden obstacle, the ending of a toxic season, or the sudden clarity of a decision that opens the way forward into joy, peace, and prosperity. God is specific when He declares a time, and when He says before 7:30 p.m. tomorrow, it means He has already determined the exact hour, the exact moment when your situation will shift. And this is not coincidence, but divine precision, for heaven's calendar has marked this moment as your appointed time, your kairos moment, the hour when what seemed impossible will suddenly become undeniable reality. And you will look back and realize that all the waiting, all the suffering, all the confusion was never wasted, because God was preparing you for the weight of this blessing, ensuring that when it arrived, you would be strong enough, wise enough, and faithful enough to carry it without fear, without hesitation, and without pride. Think also of the testimony that this moment will create, because when something huge happens by tomorrow evening, it will not only bless you personally, but it will also become a witness to others, a story you will share that will strengthen the faith of those around you, encouraging your family, inspiring your friends, and silencing your critics, because they will see with their own eyes that you serve a living God who moves in power, who answers in time, and who fulfills His word with accuracy. And through your life, others will come to trust in Him more deeply, realizing that what He has done for you, He can also do for them. For He is not a respecter of persons, but a respecter of faith. So let this message bring you hope today, because your current circumstances, no matter how difficult, no matter how frustrating, are not the final word. For God's final word is victory, abundance, healing, and restoration. And He has declared that something huge is about to happen, which means that the storm clouds are already breaking, the tide is already turning, and the miracle is already on its way, racing towards you faster than you can imagine. And though you may not see it yet, though you may still feel the weight of waiting, trust that heaven's machinery is working on your behalf right now, aligning people, places, and opportunities so that by the appointed time tomorrow, the pieces will come together in a way that only God could arrange. Therefore, do not allow fear or doubt to creep in at this crucial moment. Do not let the enemy whisper lies that make you believe nothing will change, because the truth is that change is not only coming, but it is already in motion. And all you must do is remain expectant, remain faithful, and remain open to receive. For God is not asking you to fight harder or strive more, but simply to trust Him fully, to rest in the assurance that He has spoken, and therefore it will come to pass. For He is not a man that He should lie, nor a son of man that He should change His mind. And if He has said that by tomorrow before 7:30 p.m. something huge is coming, then heaven and earth will move to ensure that His word is fulfilled in your life. So lift your head high, shake off the weariness of disappointment, let go of yesterday's pain, and prepare your heart for tomorrow's miracle, because before the clock strikes 7:30 p.m., your testimony will be different. Your story will be changed, and your lips will speak of the goodness of God with fresh conviction, because you will have experienced firsthand the mighty hand of God turning things around, opening new doors, and releasing blessings that exceed your expectations. And you will know without a doubt that He who promised is faithful, He who spoke is true, and He who began a good work in you will carry it to completion. Because tomorrow before 7:30 p.m., something huge is coming your way, something that only God can do, and it will be more beautiful, more powerful, and more life-changing than you ever imagined. And as we continue to reflect on this divine promise, it is worth understanding that when God speaks of something huge, it is not merely about material prosperity or external achievements, although those may indeed come to you in the form of financial increase, surprising opportunities, or physical healing. But it is also about a deep inner transformation, a shift in your heart and mind that prepares you to step into a higher level of peace, wisdom, and spiritual authority. Because when God blesses you, He does not simply decorate your life with outward success, but He rebuilds the very foundation of your spirit so that you can sustain the weight of the favor He is releasing, ensuring that the blessing does not crush you, but instead empowers you to walk in greater strength, greater humility, and greater service toward others. So when you think about what is coming before 7:30 p.m. tomorrow, imagine not only the external breakthrough, but also the inner confirmation that God is with you, that He has never left you, that even during the dark nights when you felt abandoned, He was carrying you in His hands. And now He is about to prove in a visible, undeniable way that His promises are true, that His love is real, and that His word never returns void, because the very nature of God is to fulfill what He has spoken. And when He ties a blessing to a specific time, you can be assured that it will unfold with accuracy, because His timing is flawless, never early, never late, but always aligned with the bigger picture of your destiny. And perhaps you are wondering how you will recognize this huge moment when it comes. But the truth is, you will not be able to miss it, because it will come wrapped in peace that surpasses all understanding. It will carry with it a sense of divine orchestration that will make you realize no human hand could have arranged this. It will come with confirmation in your spirit that this is indeed the answer you prayed for, the sign you waited for, the shift you longed for, and you will know beyond any doubt that it was the hand of God that did it. For when He moves, He leaves fingerprints of glory all over your life, marks that cannot be erased, signs that cannot be hidden, and testimonies that cannot be denied. And so the instruction for you in this moment is simple, yet profound. Trust, prepare, and expect. because expectation is the soil in which miracles grow. And when you live with expectation, you create room for God to act in ways that defy logic. And you align your faith with His promise, so that you are not caught off guard or doubtful when the blessing arrives, but instead you are ready to receive it with gratitude, humility, and boldness, declaring to the world that this is the doing of the Lord and it is marvelous in your eyes. And by tomorrow, before 7:30 p.m., you will be standing in awe, overwhelmed by joy, realizing that everything He said was true, that the long season of waiting was not in vain, and that the pain you endured was birthing something that would change your story forever. And as you continue to meditate on this incredible promise, it is crucial to understand that God's timing is not random, nor is it based on our understanding of what seems convenient or logical. Because the Almighty works in ways that transcend human perception, orchestrating events, conversations, opportunities, and even coincidences, so that every detail aligns perfectly for the fulfillment of His word. And when He declares that something huge is coming by tomorrow before 7:30 p.m., it is a declaration that encompasses not only the tangible blessings that you can see with your eyes and measure with your hands, but also the intangible victories that transform your heart, your mind, and your spirit, giving you a newfound clarity, a sense of purpose, and a confidence that no adversity, no delay, and no opposition can ever shake. Because God is not merely providing for your needs in the moment, He is setting the stage for your destiny, preparing you to step into a higher level of influence, peace, and joy that will impact not only your life, but the lives of those around you in ways that ripple far beyond what you can currently imagine. And in this season, it is essential to remember that your faith has been tested for a reason, that the struggles, the waiting, the sleepless nights, and the unanswered questions were never meaningless, but rather they were refining processes, spiritual laboratories where your trust in God was strengthened, your endurance was increased, and your character was being molded, so that when the moment of breakthrough arrives, you will be ready to handle it with wisdom, gratitude, and a heart that is aligned with His will. Because blessings that come too early or to hearts unprepared often lead to confusion or squandered opportunities. But God, in His infinite wisdom, knows exactly when to release favor so that it lands in perfect timing, creating maximum impact, maximum joy, and maximum testimony. And the promise that something huge is coming before 7:30 p.m. tomorrow is a divine checkpoint in your journey. A moment that confirms everything you have believed, prayed, and hoped for is now being activated by the authority of heaven itself. Furthermore, understand that the nature of this huge event is multifaceted, because God's blessings are not limited to one area of your life, and He rarely releases favor in isolation. For He is a God of abundance, a God who delights in overflowing your life with health, wealth, joy, peace, and opportunities. So it is entirely possible that tomorrow's miracle will arrive simultaneously in multiple areas. You may receive financial breakthrough alongside emotional healing. Relational restoration may coincide with career advancement, and doors that have been shut for years may suddenly open as the path clears for you to step into the destiny that has been prepared. Which means that your preparedness must also be holistic, as God is looking not only for your physical readiness, but also for your spiritual alignment, your mental focus, and your emotional receptivity. Because receiving a huge blessing requires a heart that is expectant, humble, and obedient. A heart that acknowledges that every good gift comes from Him, and that you are merely a steward of the abundance He chooses to pour into your life. And in anticipation of tomorrow, it is vital to stay alert, vigilant, and fully engaged in your faith, because often the enemy will attempt to sow doubt, distraction, and discouragement in the final hours before a breakthrough, hoping that you will give up or miss the moment of blessing. But you must remember that the same God who has carried you through storms, protected you in hidden places, and answered long-held prayers is fully capable of protecting this specific divine appointment, ensuring that nothing, No person, no circumstance, and no spiritual opposition can prevent the fulfillment of His word. And so as you approach this appointed time, keep your mind focused on God's promises, your heart filled with gratitude, and your spirit saturated with praise, because these are the conditions that allow miracles to manifest in full force. And when the clock strikes the appointed hour, you will experience a shift so profound, so visible, and so undeniable that you will have no choice but to testify to God's faithfulness, power, and sovereignty, recognizing that every step, every prayer, and every ounce of faith you invested has culminated in this remarkable moment. And as we continue to embrace the reality of this divine promise, it is imperative to understand that God's timing is not merely a suggestion or a casual estimate, but a deliberate and intentional orchestration of events that He has meticulously planned behind the scenes, aligning circumstances, people, resources, and even unseen spiritual forces to ensure that by tomorrow before 7:30 p.m., the breakthrough, miracle, or blessing He has promised reaches you in its fullest measure, because God does not release His favor in fragments when He knows your capacity to receive is greater than you realize, nor does He act in haste that could result in confusion or mismanagement, but He moves with precision, love, and wisdom so that the impact of what He is about to do will resonate not only in your life, but in the lives of everyone connected to you, creating a ripple effect of joy, hope, and divine testimony that magnifies His glory and confirms that He is always faithful to those who trust Him. It is also critical to recognize that this something huge is not limited to the material or the visible, because God's blessings are multidimensional, touching your spirit, your mind, your heart, and your relationships, often in ways that you may not immediately understand, but will eventually see as essential parts of the perfect plan He has for you. And sometimes the greatest blessings arrive not wrapped in instant recognition, but in subtle changes, shifts in perspective, opportunities that challenge you to rise higher, and encounters that strengthen your character, faith, and resilience, because God's ultimate goal is not only to give you what you desire, but to transform you into the person who is capable of stewarding what He has promised, ensuring that the favor, abundance, and breakthroughs you are about to experience are sustainable, fulfilling, and life-enhancing far beyond what you could have orchestrated on your own. Furthermore, it is essential to understand that as this appointed hour approaches, God is also preparing your environment and the people around you to align with this moment, because blessings often arrive not in isolation, but in coordination with divine timing that involves multiple moving parts. And sometimes the miraculous shift will appear in the form of a conversation, a phone call, an email, or an unexpected encounter that seems ordinary on the surface, but is actually the key that unlocks the doors of opportunity, prosperity, and restoration that have remained closed for far too long. And if you are alert and attentive, your spirit will recognize these signs and confirmations, guiding you to respond in faith, act in obedience, and receive without hesitation, because the enemy often attempts to cloud these moments with doubt or distraction, hoping that you will miss your appointed miracle. But God is greater than every trick, delay, and obstacle, and He is ensuring that nothing will prevent this promise from manifesting in full. And in these remaining hours before 7:30 p.m. tomorrow, it is not just a time for waiting, but a time for active preparation, for aligning your thoughts, words, and actions with the faith that declares victory even before you see it, for releasing any anxiety, fear, or doubt that may attempt to overshadow your expectation, and for saturating your heart with gratitude for what is already on its way, because gratitude is the magnet that attracts God's favor, favor. Obedience is the pathway that opens doors, and faith is the vessel through which His power flows unimpeded, ensuring that when the appointed hour strikes, you are not only ready to receive, but are also positioned to maximize the blessing, understand its purpose, and testify of its glory, giving God the honor, praise, and recognition that He alone deserves. And so, as the evening of tomorrow approaches, picture the moment vividly in your mind, the tension of expectation dissolving into the joy of fulfillment, the questions that linger in your heart being answered with undeniable clarity, the doors that were once closed swinging open with ease, the resources you thought were out of reach arriving just in time, the relationships that needed restoration being healed, the health that needed renewal being restored, and the dreams that seemed stalled suddenly moving forward with unstoppable momentum. Because this is not a partial miracle or a small gesture of favor, but a massive, life-altering, faith-confirming, joy-inducing, spiritually significant event that will make tomorrow evening a landmark moment in your life, a moment that will be etched in your memory forever as proof that God never forgets, never fails, and never delays beyond the perfect time He has determined.